In other videos, we've talked about how numbers can change for case in examples like these. До 3 часов. С 5 часов. Помочь 2 пассажирам. Звонить 4 студентам. Here we have the genitive forms 3 and 5 after до and с with the meaning from, and the dative forms 2 and 4. And the nouns that follow are in the plural of the same case as the number. But if we want to talk about working with a certain number of people, or being proud of them, or being interested in a certain number of things, we'll need numbers in the instrumental, so let's look at that now. If you remember the dative forms, the instrumental should look kind of familiar. But if you look carefully at the forms for 2, 3, and 4, what difference do you notice? These instrumental forms end in m-ya, двумя, тремя, четырьмя. But numbers that end in a soft sign, like 5, 6, and so on, have a different ending in мягкий знак ю, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. You may also see this form with a fleeting ye, 8. And here's one other important point. What do you notice about the nouns here? Часами is in the instrumental plural. This reminds us that the rule about using a form of the genitive for nouns after numbers applies only after these basic forms, 2 or 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But if the number itself is in a different case, like the instrumental двумя, then we'll just put the noun that follows into the plural form of that same case. So, двумя часами, тремя часами, and so on. We have instrumental plural часами after the instrumental forms of the numbers. Let's look at some examples in context. Она осталась одна с 2 детьми. Саша взял их 2 руками, поднес к лицу и поцеловал. Он прилетел в Екатеринбург из Душанбе с 6 рублями в кармане. Но вот всеми 5 пальцами взять аккорд никак не получалось. На вид тот был 2-3 годами младше его второго сына, Синтаро. А какая разница между 4 и 7 годами тогда? And even though you may not need to use higher numbers in other cases as often, it's good to recognize them. And here, if you know the genitive or dative forms, you already know the instrumental forms. 40, 90, 100 all take a in the instrumental. And for 50, you'll hear 50. Notice how this is a compound made from 5 and 10, so we're really just putting together the instrumental forms 50 and 10. And we'll follow that pattern through 80, 60, 70, 80, or 80. Even native speakers sometimes avoid declining really large numbers, but it is good to be familiar with these forms, since you'll hear them on the radio, in weather reports, and so on. Summing up, the numbers 2, 3, 4 have instrumental case forms двумя, тремя, четырьмя. Numbers that end in a soft sign have the instrumental case ending мягкий знак ю, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Take special care with the tens of 40 through 100. 40, 90, 100, 50, 60, and so on. In compound numbers, every element of the number declines. For example, говорить с 22 пассажирами. We'll use these forms with prepositions like с in the meaning together with, and with verbs that govern the instrumental, like гордиться, интересоваться. Nouns that follow these forms will be in the instrumental plural. 2 часами. Работать с 5 студентами.